Hey, what's up? This is Richard here,
And my name is Jamaal.
and we are parents of children.
Yes. We just wanted to take some time to help you guys, back you guys up in your corners.
Right.
As kids can corner us sometimes.
Right. It's kind of scary, especially when they outnumber you. We've got 3 of them. It's a little frightening at times.
Yes.
And everybody needs some help, right?
Yep. So we're just here to kind of help you guys, give you guys some parent perspectives.
Right. We're going to take a look at what it means to be a parent through the lens of the word, through common sense, through community, all that kind of good stuff.
Yep. And so in this first episode, we're going to take a look at decision making and how to help our kids make the right decisions.
Right, because that's the goal, is not just to have kids that are really good and obedient, but kids that can make decisions on their own. Because the goal of raising a kid is to make sure they become a successful parent, a successful adult, a successful employee, a successful Christian on their own. You know, we want to launch them into life so that they can be successful in the plan that God has for them.
That's right. And so the first thing we're going to look at when helping our kids make the right decisions is, let me take a look at my notes, I'm sorry, is help them know that their decision matters.
Right. Yeah, the decisions that your kid makes affects everybody. If they make good decisions, then it has that has a positive effect on the family, on their friends. If they make a negative, a selfish decision, it has a negative effect on their brothers and sisters and all that kind of stuff. And that's a hard thing for kids to realize sometimes, is that, oh, my decision matters. That's
right. And it's important to help them understand that their decisions affect other people and also affect themselves in the future. You know, if they eat their snack before they eat their dinner, you know, they're going to be hungry later because they're full off all that sugar, didn't eat enough sustenance, and now they have a tummy ache.
Right. And then and depending on what age level your kid's at, is helping them to realize that the big and the little decisions, they can affect the family. I mean, I just think biblically, you know, you look at a story of like Joseph and his brothers. You have this family fight that goes on. Joseph has this excitement, but he shares it in a way that creates jealousy. His decision had a negative effect. Almost got him killed, as a matter of fact.
Almost did.
Right. So how can we share that with our kids? You know, I mean, how would you? Let's say you have a little dude like around 5 to 10 years old. How would you share that with your 5 to 10-year-old, that their decisions matter?
I will help them, like right now with my 4-year-old and 8-year-old, you know, I'm helping them to decide on what they want to wear for school.
Right.
Know?
That's a big deal.
And so, you know, I give them that freedom, that opportunity, but also, you know, like, make sure to check with their mom before to see if it's okay.
Yeah, that was this morning, right? My daughter comes up and she's like, "Can I wear my pajamas to school?" I'm like, well, sure, you could wear them on the way to school, and that kind of created a little fight between me and my kid. So gotcha. I get it.
Yeah. So you give them that freedom to help decide on what they want to do, but then also, you know, like, okay, you know, you want to wear shorts today, that's fine, but it's going to rain. So, you know, that's going to affect you later on when you're out there freezing.
Right. Helping them plan ahead. I know with my kids, sometimes what I'll do is especially the littler guys, is I'll help limit their options. You know, because I want them to be able to make a decision, but when they have an overwhelming amount, it becomes a frustrating thing. So I'll tell them, here's this shirt or that shirt. What do you want to wear? I think even for like older kids, you know, once they start getting to preteen, teenager years, helping them to think ahead and then presenting them with options that they begin to do that. I mean, I know in youth ministry, what we'll do sometimes is we'll run them through the paces. And I'll say, okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to do this. So what's your mom going to think of it? Mm-hmm. You know, what's your teacher going to think about? What's that going to do in a month for you? And helping to teach them, to train them that their decisions affect the people around them. Hey, what's next on the list?
The next one is the golden rule, is do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And helping kids understand that and making their decisions and deciding on what to do, on how to behave, how to react, and kind of keeping that as a compass on, okay, the golden rule is, would I like that if someone did that to me? No? Okay, then don't do it, you know?
Right. That's the whole flipping the script idea, right? Yeah. So then, you know, you're going to do this because it makes you feel good, but what about the people around you? Is that something that you would want them to do to you? I think that's really good, because I know one of the jobs as a parent is to make your kid's world grow, because a kid's world is really small. It's about me, myself, and I. The only person that really fits inside of their world, right?
Yeah.
So then once as they grow, as a parent, we need to be able to help them realize how how is the way I'm making my friends feel the way I would want to feel, and that's an idea of building empathy and compassion, and that's and those are the skills, and those are the skills, and those are the emotions that'll determine whether your child will be successful or fail in the future. Is how can they put themselves in other people's shoes, right?
Yep, and I think that's why it's so important as building blocks when you have toddlers or you have kids, teaching them how to share, because that expands the world where it's not only about me, and it helps them grow.
Right.
And also too on the golden rule on doing unto others as you do unto yourself. In children's ministry we have this object lesson where it's called the soggy chip. And pretty much, and in Matthew it says, that we're the salt of the earth, and if we lose our saltiness, that we can't regain that. And so being salty is like a chip, and if we lose our saltiness, that's being rude to somebody, that's really turning people off with our behavior, with our actions, and it's like dipping that chip into some water, and just imagine a Dorito, getting all that flavor, all of it off of it, and you just left with just a wet tortilla chip, and see if your child wants to eat it. Nobody wants to eat that, and by doing that, it's showing them that their actions are affecting other people. It's like get that soggy chip away from me.
Right. I like how it ties in with that first idea. I know one of the things I've always tried to do in regards to this is, my decisions affect other people. And I want people to treat me the way I want to act, the way I want people to treat me. And one thing I'll often ask my kids, especially when they are hitting each other or stealing things from each other, and there's total mayhem going on at the house, is I'll pull my kids away from the situation and I'll say, hey, so how does your brother feel? Is he sad? Is he hurt? You think he's angry, And the idea of getting my kid to recognize the emotions in their brothers and sisters or the people around him. I mean, even when I kind of lose my temper, I'll let my kids know is hey, Daddy was really upset and angry, and that's not what I want to make you guys, So becoming emotionally aware is a big part of understanding the golden rule.
Yeah.
And I think that's big, even in the matter of one day when I hope my kids begin to express their faith to other people. And they have to make sure that they can operate in this principle of love that the golden rule is wrapped up in and around. So I think that's really cool. So we got my decisions matter to Jesus, my decisions matter to people around me. The golden rule we have to do unto others. And then what's next? What do we got next, bro? The
next point we wanted to touch on is just helping kids to know or understand that it pays to obey.
Dude.
And that's huge, because we lay out rules for kids. We tell them to do this and do that and do this and do that, and sometimes little ones or even kids think okay, I'm just doing this for nothing, I'm just doing this because my mom or my dad wants to be a tirade, and just boss me around because they can, but it's important to let them know it pays to obey, just like Abraham, how Abraham obeyed the Lord, and the Lord blessed him, and also also to flip the script with Jonah, how Jonah didn't obey, and he paid for his disobedience,
Right, and that's understanding the idea of consequence. Something really cool to understand and to teach our children is the idea of, and this is something that we could even learn, is that God's love is unconditional, but His blessing is not.
Yeah.
Right, and that's where it comes into our role as parents. If we're to live in a godly manner, the same way. I'll never withhold love from my children, but if they want a blessing, whether it's allowance, chores, an extra ice cream, before they go to bed, or whatever the case is, whether they want to be able to take the car out or extend their curfew, that's a blessing that comes through earning trust, through earning that leeway, through right behavior as opposed to wrong behavior, because every action has a consequence.
Yes.
And when we enable or baby our children, then we're teaching them a way that the world doesn't work. I mean, the world operates off of consequence, cause, and effect.
Yes.
And when we discipline, or when we bless, or when we reward our children, we have to be able to make sure that our parenting reflects the reality that God set forth in the real world. Otherwise, we set them up for failure and disappointment.
That's right. And also too, letting them know, pays to obey is kind of the idea where, if you, I'll let you go outside, but you can't cross the street,
Right. Oh, that's really good.
Going across the street is, it's knowing that you love them, but you're setting boundaries for them,
Right.
And that way, if they do go past those boundaries, that there's consequences.
Right.
You might get hit by a car,
Right.
or you might get struck by a car, or even don't touch the stove, Oh, why don't touch the stove, Because it's hot,
Right.
So there's definitely, obedience has. Obedience has another side to it where the disobedience, like for instance Jonah, where if he would have obeyed, he would have been blessed, but
Right.
eventually he did get blessed, but he had to
Right.
go through the storm and through that fish and through that heartache to figure it out.
Right. I like that. I like that because what you're talking about is setting clear and defined boundaries, which is what God did. In Jonah's case, God said, "Hey, do this because I want this to happen."
Yes.
In the idea of Abraham, God said, "Hey, I want you to go and accomplish this." And then once they did that, they fit within those clear boundaries. I mean, even within all the rules and regulations of the word, God sets these boundaries and he says, if you do this, then this will happen.
That's right.
And when we aren't clear with our children, when we don't set boundaries and guidelines and rewards and these systems up, then our children are left to kind of make it up on their own.
Yes.
And they end up having to parent themselves. Like, dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like we can't be unclear like that. Something that I always keep in mind is that if I'm obedient, if I fit with, if I do the right thing, it expands my options. If I do the wrong thing, it limits my options. And that's really what the consequence is.
Yes.
When I'm obedient to God, God sheds his blessing on opportunity on me. But what happens is the curse is not like woo-woo or spiritual in that kind of like sense. What it is, the curse is a restriction of movement within my life. That's what the curse does. That's what the consequence of disobedience is. So it limits my options of the things that I'm able to do.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. And so this I guess that's our spiel,
Right.
and to help you guys, to help back you guys up in your corners as far as helping your children make right decisions. And the first point we went over is help them to know that their decisions matter to Jesus. That their decisions just don't affect themselves, or if they're mad at you and they're I hate you, mom, or I hate you, dad. It just doesn't affect you. That affects a bunch of others around them, and that
Right.
affects Jesus' heart.
Right.
And the second is the golden rule, do unto others as you do unto yourself. Flip the script and help them realize, that how their decisions affect other people.
Right.
And
Totally.
and will they want to feel that way? It's that golden rule, And the last one was
it pays to obey. When we're obedient, God is able to bless us. That's a reward. And when we're disobedient, God presents the consequences, our limited ability to do things. Same thing with our kids.
Yes.
Is that when they're obedient, when they listen, when they do well, then we're more willing to expand their abilities or horizons. And when they disobey, that's when we pull it back. Timeouts, whether it's other kind of disciplines. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
So I love it, man. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Quick things.
Yes, quick things. Try these out. Put them in place. And like I said, I'm Jamaal. This is Richard.
What's up?
And we're here to back you guys up in your parenting tactics.
Yep.
And until the next episode, we catch you guys.